Hi, Lance. Cy here. I understand you have some questions about noise. And so, would you be so kind to tell me what are the questions that you have?
Right. First of all, can you give me the definition of low noise thinking?
Okay, very good. That's a good question. Well, there are two undefined terms here. We got noise and we got thinking. And we know what they mean, but the definition could be a lot about anything. But we're going to be talking about the relationship between noise and thinking. And as you know, when we're in a noisy environment, as we are right now, it's difficult to understand what people are saying. And so we're going to be talking about a term that's called the signal-to-noise ratio. And the signal-to-noise ratio is a fraction where you have the numerator and the denominator. In the numerator, we have sound, audible sound, where the information is distinct. And then it's divided by, in the denominator, by the noise level in the surround. So when the surrounding area is noisy, it's difficult for us to understand each other. By talking about low noise thinking, we're basically talking about four different levels of noise. We got very high noise, we got normal sound, we got low noise, and then we have no noise. As I said before, when the noise is high, we can't understand each other. We have to shout over the noise level, and not too good. It's kind of like walking uphill. You know, you have to really force yourself to be heard or to try to hear. Okay, so when you have high noise, it's difficult for us to understand each other. When you have normal sound, then we see all of us have different levels of noise that we're accustomed to, and some people have noisy brains, other people have normal brains or in the normal range, and then we get into the low area, and then finally we get to zero noise, which basically is synonymous with death, because when you have no noise, no nothing, basically for all intents and purposes, it's totally deaf. Now, in a suicidal person, this is very, very important, whether it be kids or adults, doesn't matter. If you lower the noise level too low, then every part of the brain communicates with every other part of the brain, and you have now what is called information overload. Now, when you go to sleep at night and have dreams, the noise level is very low, and because we're in a low noise state, all the imagery that's stored in the brain is now going to be haunting you in the daytime hours. And so you get what's called information overload, where the information is way above the ability for anybody to comprehend or to carry on any discussion. But the noise level is low. And so what we have here is signals or imagery which could be kind of very horrific and so bad that we basically can jump out of bed. All right, so what is noise? Well, noise basically is anything that is unwanted, whether it be sound or electronic, it doesn't matter. It's basically completely sound with no order. It's total disorder. I'm trying to think of the term. But basically it's disorganized sound. So with noise is basically a steady signal, but it has no information in it. Okay, that's the denominator. So when you have a denominator which approaches zero, and you know any number divided by zero is infinity, which is represented by a number 8 lying on its side, that's the infinity symbol. So when you hit total zero, the ratio goes to infinity, and which is basically completely out of the scope and out of the scale. We're basically in a different universe for all intents and purposes. So, with a suicidal person, we can't be held to blame for for suicide, because suicide is caused generally by some damage area inside the brain, which sends out a self-destruct signal, and you can't cope. So, and there's no way of knowing from the outside that this is happening. It's totally inside the mind, and because of that, the person who's experiencing this can't cope with it. He's in information overload, and therefore the only way to get rid of this problem is to commit suicide, and there's no drug or anything that you can put somebody on, or maybe you could try using earmuffs to generate noise, but you can't be walking around with that all the time. So it's an interesting topic. I hope I answered your question. Lance, did you have any other questions, or you want to elaborate?
Let's continue on after lunch.